Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Friends of Gaming. My name is Chris, and today I'm excited to have my friend Jimmy Hudson, creator and host of Board Game Closet. Welcome, Jimmy.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be on the show with you today.
You obviously are doing a lot. We see you, at least when I say we, I mean I'm speaking for the whole board game community. But tell us a little bit about who you are. We see you doing your reviews and everything, but who's Jimmy Hudson? Tell me about your family, your maybe where you grew
hmm
up, whatever you want to share.
Sure thing. Yeah. I guess grew up in Florida, so if I got any Florida people out there, I love it and miss it. I was a beach guy growing up, about 30 minutes from the ocean, and so we'd go over there all the time. I totally miss it. Now I'm living in Arkansas, and it's good. I like Arkansas too. It's a bigger town than what I grew up in, so you take the pluses for what it is. and But I've been here for about 12 years, and this is really where my family has started. So I've had two boys since we moved to Arkansas, and absolutely love it. And I guess back in 2013 is when we got into creating content for board games. And so, just like a whole bunch of other people, I was into Settlers of Catan and Ticket to Ride were two of the first games I ever played. And then my buddy, I finally met someone local that was into board games too. And then it was over. I met Rod and Tim, and they were the two people that originally started doing board game content with me. And so that was back in 2013. And we've been doing it ever since. There's been a lot of highs and a lot of lows in content creation over those years, but totally love it. And we started a podcast a few years back. I stopped the podcast a few years back, then started it back up again. And But we do all kinds of stuff. We do podcasts, we do board game reviews, Kickstarter previews, and now my favorite thing that I've been doing lately is creating little board game trailers. And so we make these little trailers for board games of all the components, and maybe 30 seconds long, something like that. And I absolutely love making those. It might be my favorite thing that we do. And so, anyways, that's kind of a little backstory on how I got into the whole hobby of creating content for board games. But now I joke with people and tell them I actually think maybe my bigger hobby is creating content. The smaller hobby is playing board games. And so but you got to have the both. But I love creating content for board games. It's a lot of fun.
And you do a great job, by the way. I'm sure everyone would echo that.
I appreciate that. That was one thing that a long time ago, Christian Kang was actually a guy that got me thinking about quality, and not that I wasn't before, but I just remember watching some of his videos and thinking, man, this guy's got killer looking stuff, and I was like, how do I do that? How do I make it look just a little bit better? And then I started playing with lighting. I learned about 3-point lighting, which all of it, when I asked about lighting online, people would send me all these articles, and I was like, yeah, I get it, and but then one day, I think it was one weekend, I just determined I was going to figure it out. I was like, I'm going to keep playing with my lights all weekend long until I figure out where they need to go. And I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I was like shooting lights left, right, down, up top, and I'd post a little piece of clip and say, "What do y'all think about this?" And then I'd get some feedback. And anyways, long story short, it took about a weekend of like just nonstop playing with it. But now I kind of got, not that I've figured it out. That sounds arrogant. I don't mean it like that, but I just mean like for my setup, I kind of know I put a light here, here, and here, and it works. And so it took a little bit, but it was worth it. So.
I think that that's critical. Something that you are talking about is kind of like I appreciate that you said, "Hey, I didn't know what I was doing, and I kind of had to figure it out in a
Mhm.
weekend." Because as a content creator myself, I totally understand. And what's more frustrating is I actually don't know 100% what you do for work, but I'm a
Mhm.
videographer for my day job, and so I work with technology all the time. So when something doesn't work, it drives me crazy. And especially at my own house when I'm trying to set everything up and I'm like, okay, I know this should work. Why isn't it working? You did mention some highs and
Mhm.
lows. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of those lows that you hit? And were there points as a content creator where you just thought like, hey, maybe I'm done and I want to throw in the towel?
Mhm. Yeah. The I mean, as a content creator, some of the biggest lows for me were when I would spend a week shooting a piece of content, and you know where I'm going, right? You would spend
I do.
you would spend a week working on this, getting everything perfect, reshooting things, nope, that doesn't look good enough. Oh, I need to change the way I said that. You do all that work and then you hit publish, and then there would be like like 10 views, and you're just like,
Right.
what have I done? What have I invested so much time into? And people will give you this, I don't know what the word is, altruistic, thing of, well, just make the content. It's about the board game hobby and you should do it and you shouldn't worry about the views. And sure, I guess, but at the end of the day, like when you pour so much into something and then no one notices, man, it's like a punch in the gut, you know what I mean? Where you're just
Yep.
like, wow, should I be doing something else? Is there something else that I should be doing that would not that it's about the views, because it's not, but that was part of the roller coaster that I went through, right? Where I went through
Right.
where, okay, what am I creating this for and what is it about? And so there were a number of times where I was like, I need to do something else instead. This is not working out. Um, and then the guys that I started the channel with, Rod and Tim, Rod works two jobs. Tim wasn't a tech guy at all. So a lot of the work, all of the work fell on me. So, like, shoot the video, edit the video, publish the video, all that stuff. So I also went through this roller coaster where it was like, I'd put this self-imposed every Tuesday I'm going to release a new video. And so I put
Wow.
this pressure on my back by myself. I'm going to do all this work. And there was a time there where I was just like, the views aren't coming in. I'm doing all this work. I'm staying up to 2 in the morning, and nobody's watching. I was like, I'm just not going to do this anymore. And so then part of the thing that got me out of that low was I just said, okay, you know what? I really do love the hobby. It's not about subscribers. It's not about videos. I'm going to take the pressure off of me. I'm not going to record a video every week. We're going to get together and record videos. And when I release one, I release one. And so then that started to ease some of the self-imposed pressure that I had. And then I got back into loving it. And then when I started wanting to do more creative stuff with my content instead of just sitting behind the camera and talking, when I started to want to do these little trailers of, zooming around the pieces and doing creative things within, that clicked another thing in my brain where I was like, now I was doing it for a different reason. And it just fed something more into me. So I don't know if anybody else is in a lull. Maybe you need to try something new with your content where you're like, I'm going to try something different. And so that sent me down a whole nother path. I was learning a whole bunch of new things, still learning a whole bunch of new things. And so every time I do a video now, I'm trying to think a little bit outside the box on how I can turn my camera, how I can zoom in, or how I need to, back up. And so that was a fun thing for me. And so those were a lot of the lows. Then a lot of the highs were when you do get noticed by some people and you start working with some companies and you get paid to do some work. Like that was, just as somebody that's been putting so much into it for so long, that feels like it feels amazing. And you're like, thank goodness,
Right.
some of this has paid off for me, and got to go on a couple trips and things like that. And so that was absolutely amazing. And then now I'm kind of in a point where I'm just like, because I pushed through all the down times and I've had some highs. Now I'm just kind of back to the beginning again, where I'm just like,
Right.
whatever happens, happens. If in 6 months everything dries up and I'm not doing anything, that's okay. It's been fun. But if opportunities keep coming my way, then I'm going to keep taking them. And so that's
Right.
kind of a new breath of life for me, I guess.
I'm really encouraged by that because I came to that same epiphany just over a month ago myself. But I was obsessed with views and subscriptions for a while. Actually, this program that we're doing right now is a product of this whole epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm done trying to chase after the views and the followers. I just want to make content that I enjoy and that I'm encouraged by and that can maybe touch somebody else's life. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter like how many people watch, because I do believe that if you create out of passion, the rest kind of naturally
Hmm.
follows. And that's not always easy to click in the beginning. And it took me probably 2 years of chasing views, chasing subscribers, trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. I'm really encouraged with that, and I would encourage you to just keep doing it. And so what if it dries
Mm,
up? We're doing it because we love games and because we love people of gaming. And so why do the views matter? That will come in due time, you know?
totally. And then
So
another thing that's really helped me recently is, like I said, Rod and Tim, when we first started, they did everything that they could, just, when you're working two jobs and you got families and things like that, there's only so much that you can contribute. And they did an incredible job with everything that they were able to. And then recently I had another guy, Bradley, that jumped on with me. And if this is another encouragement to anybody that's creating content by themselves, is if you can find one other person that could help you carry some of that load, even if it's to bounce ideas off of, if it's to them to send the
absolutely.
email, them to contact somebody, them to edit the podcast. There's something about that where for the longest I was
Totally.
just carrying all of that, and like I said, nothing bad at all. But that's just kind of where we were. And now on the flip side, my goodness, it's just, just have one other person doing a little bit more. It's so energizing to have them beside you.
That's really good advice, and I would say that if you are considering being a content creator, hopefully you'll get something out of this interview with Jimmy, and he's saying a lot of great stuff, a lot of great things here. So take notes. And I know you don't fancy yourself, you're a very humble guy, so I appreciate that about you too. So how long you been gaming? How many games would you say you own? So answer those two
Is my
questions.
wife listening? I don't know. That-
Let's hope
I'm
not.
just teasing. No,
She might watch this later.
no, my wife knows. We've got a great relationship, so I just like to tease about that. But
Yeah.
no, I've probably got I don't know an exact number of games, but I've got four 4x4 calyx shelves. So I don't know how
Wow.
many that is, but they're all packed. And then I actually have some for shame in my garage right now that I'm going to be giving away or selling or something. So
Someone should honestly come up with a formula to like calculate how many games someone probably
uh,
did. How many games fit in X amount of shelves and
yeah, I would say,
so
probably four per cube. And then I've got four, I'm going to do some math, 16 times four, 64 times four. Yeah, maybe 300 games, 350. So,
it's a lot.
but
Yeah. I'm nowhere near there. My collection's fairly small. I what you see behind me is most of it goes up a little
hmm
higher. And I have a what do they call them? Calyx?
Calyx,
Calyx?
Calyx,
I
whatever.
had Calyx. Yeah, I
I
can never
can't either.
pronounce it, but I have one of those behind me on the floor. So I probably have like I don't know 60 or 70 games, all in different shapes and
hmm
sizes. Most of them, as you probably would agree, never even get to the table. It's like I don't know, collecting and playing. I've heard are two different hobbies.
Yeah.
So, but which is your favorite con that you've been to, and why? What are some of the reasons you've enjoyed it?
So probably in order, obviously, would be Gen Con. You just can't get better than the show. I mean, it's just absolutely
That's right.
amazing. Then Dice Tower, then probably Geekway to the West in that order, because I've only got a few, so I don't have a ton to compare to, but Gen Con has all the hype you can hold on to. I mean, it's just so much, so many people. It's so incredible. But Dice Tower is actually probably my favorite gaming experience that I had, and that was just because they still had a smaller vendor presence. So if you wanted to go around and play some games and demos, you could. It wasn't nowhere near what Gen Con is. I mean, it's like one corner of one section of the Gen Con hall. I mean, it's tiny, 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 but it was enough to give me that little itch of that. But then there were so many great people there at Dice Tower that I got to play games for 4 days. We stayed up until like 3 a.m., not out anywhere doing anything else. We were at the hall playing board games, and
That's
so it was
awesome.
great. It was a lot of fun. And then Geekway to the West is like that, but it's just on a smaller scale. There weren't as many industry people there that I knew that I only get to see at the convention. So I didn't get to do that, but I did get to hang out with a lot of my local friends. A lot of people from my town go to that convention, so I did get to hang out with them, and so it was still great, a lot of fun. And but those are my three experiences.
Definitely got to get to PAX Unplugged. That's one of my favorite shows. I love Gen
Hmm.
Con. PAX Unplugged is like the Gen Con Junior, in my opinion. I haven't been to Origins,
Mm.
and I haven't been to BGG Con, so I might get some flack for saying that on this
I don't
interview,
know.
but so we'll
Yeah.
see. Everybody's got their favorite cons for different
Mhm.
reasons, but so you just started these. I think they're new. You are engaging with your kids now on video. Is this something you're going to keep up? And if so, like, why is it important to you to bring your boys into this hobby or just into the content creation in
Hmm.
general?
Yeah, for me, this all started out of the coronavirus quarantine type thing, and so I was at home with my kids. And if anybody else out there is trying to do work from home with your kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like we've actually had to schedule times where I'm like, okay, from this time to this time, you can't bug me. And then, so we would set a timer in the kitchen. You know, I'd do the little scroll thingy, and I said, when this thing dings, then we can do stuff together. And so I was trying to come up with stuff with them when it dinged on something fun that we could do other than just video games. And so I've got all this gear set up upstairs. I've got all this stuff already. And so I was thinking, what would be easy for me to do with them that they love? And so that's really where it all came from. And so my son loves to watch these YouTube videos called How to Draw or Art Hub or something. And so I said, why don't we make one of those? So I powered everything on, hit the switches, you know, and we just sat down and started making something. And then my older son
That's awesome.
loves cubes. So it's same kind of thing. I said, what could I do with him? And all in all, I bet the videos took me an hour and a half to shoot, edit, and publish. And so it was simple, it was easy. And so, yeah, I think we will keep doing those videos. But I don't know. That was one thing that I've learned during this uh, virus stuff is lean into what you're good at. And right now, obviously, I'm trying new things, you know, experimenting with stuff. But right now, I want to lean into what I'm good at, so that when we come out of this, maybe I have some cool stuff that we've created in the meantime.
Great advice again from you. Thank you. You're just full of
Uh,
these little tidbits of advice there. You did release a quick video the other day of just you talking about
mm,
that, just encouraging people to kind of lean into what you're creative and lean into this. You know, this is a very terrible time for a lot of
mm,
people, but it doesn't have to be all terrible. Like we can take the good parts and hopefully maximize on those, like having
mm,
time or having our family around. Take those opportunities and get creative
mm,
with them. Why, in your opinion, is it important to carve out this time? So to the point where you're setting a timer and you're putting aside time to make sure you're getting your content
mhm,
done, or you're sacrificing time with your family. Why is it important to you to keep on this, I guess,
mhm.
routine and have gaming a part of your life and have content creation a part of your life?
You know, like some people recharge, like recharge would be a word like people recharge differently. Some people, to set their mind at ease, they want to sit and watch Netflix. They want to put a puzzle together. They want to play a board game. They want to do whatever it is. They want to laugh and joke with some people, very extroverted, outgoing people. They want to laugh, and social is what recharges their batteries. For me, what recharges my batteries is creating things. And so I love it. Like, some people on their day off go work out in the shop. They tinker with the hot rod or whatever the things that they do are. But for me, like it for me, I think let me run upstairs, let me turn the lights on, put a camera in my hand, and let me do some things with it and see what happens. And there's just something fun about that for me. And so I'll work on something like that for a couple hours and then come out of it hitting play on the video, say, look, we've done something, we made something, that piece of content is
Right.
there forever. And yeah, I made something, like I feel accomplished and satisfied. And so I don't know, that's whatever it is for people that they feel like is going to recharge them. Setting time up for that is not selfish in any way. I think that it's healthy. And then but then I also come out of those times saying, okay, now let me engage with my family, let me be responsible. Let me do some other things that, benefit other people and help recharge them, give my wife a break, do whatever it might be, swap out, that kind of
So
thing.
what has been the most valuable part to you, having some of your friends get on board with this with you? And maybe talk a little bit about like personally how that has affected you, because we know that obviously they help carry the burden of the workload, right?
Mm.
But what has it meant to you, just as a friend, to have these two guys kind of jump on board with you all in and give you their time?
It's a different kind of friendship, I guess, when you feel like you're building something together with somebody, and that's really what it feels like. If we're sharing the load of ideas, the financial burden, because it costs money to make content. Like it,
Yeah.
it feels like everything that you want to add to the setup is hundreds of dollars. So
Mhm.
financially there's investment between you, but then there's also excitement of saying, when opportunities do come up, now it's not just my reward, but it's our reward. And so then you kind of see some things, you're like, wow, man, we've invested together, and now this opportunity has come up. This is great. And I don't know, there's something fun about that, dreaming together with someone else. Now it comes in with both sides of the coin, because when you do work with other people, you do have to share ideas. I can't just plow through and say, no, your ideas stink and all my ideas are great. But you do kind of have to share that, and you have to say, you have to believe in the synergy of your relationship, that together we're going to come up with great ideas, as long as we both know, all three of us know, that my intentions aren't to shoot down every idea you have. I just want the channel to be the best it can be. And so, as long as everybody's on the same page, knowing that we want this thing to be the best, then your ideas start to simmer and get better. And then you're like, okay, well, let's try this and this. And so that's been a huge benefit of doing it with other people, is you do get better ideas working together.
What would you say your personal goal is with the channel? And aside from subscribers, aside from growing content, uh, if you had a mission statement, personally, from the heart, what would it be? What is your long-term goal that you hope, Board Game Closet can bring to the table, to the
Mm.
community?
I guess that's a great, great question. And we've talked about it a few times, because if you don't have some kind of a goal, you are just chasing the wind. And personally, I don't necessarily have a goal of doing this full time. That's not a goal for me, which I know a lot of people do, and that's awesome. But I like my day job. I work at a church, and I've got other things that are my end goal. But for so that kind of shifts things for me. I'm not necessarily looking to create paid revenue for me. So what is my end goal? And we talked about this a lot, and probably our end goal then would be to create high quality content that is engaging with a community. And so that is the end goal. If we could, fast forward 5, 10 years from now, and we have this huge community of people just that are talking to each other, watching videos, listening to podcasts, and are learning about games and helping them make decisions on their game purchases, like, to me, that would be amazing. And so we're trying to do that. We're trying to create opportunities for people to engage with us. We just recently started a Patreon account, which is small. It is what it is to begin with, and we're great. But what we found is, and I know this sounds weird, asking people to give you money to build community with them, but there is something about that. Like, I found already, like, we've got a group of maybe like 10 to 15 people that are in our Patreon, and now we're creating content just for them, and we're talking to them, and we're getting feedback for them, and we're showing them things early. And what I like about that is that I think it's creating a small community within our YouTube, because you know how it is. You might have however many subscribers, and you release a video and only a very small percentage of them even watch it. And so that tells me, the community's still not there. Somebody might have scrolled by, liked a video I did, and clicked subscribe, but they're not bought into who we are. And so, kind of, that's the long
Right.
term vision. How do we get there, to be able to build community with people? So,
I guess in the remaining couple minutes that we have here, why don't you just talk a little bit about, the future of Board Game Closet.
Mhm.
What can we expect to maybe see from you? What maybe some things you'll be rolling out in the
Mhm.
future? I know obviously a lot is unknown right now, but maybe just talk a little bit about what you guys plan to
Mhm.
do. And then before you wrap up, just tell us how we can find you, how we can contact you, any way we can reach out to you, and maybe some ways we can just be a part of your community.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So the future for us, we recently invested some money to get a live streaming setup. So like I bought some switchers, some cameras, and some hardware encoders, some equipment like that to be able for us to actually stream stuff live at a high quality. And we're learning a lot, but that's definitely where we're going. We're going to be doing a lot of live streams. There are some partnerships coming up with some other media channels that maybe we'll be able to be on their channels as well as ours. And so you should be able to see our faces a number of times in some different locations. And so we're pretty excited about that. And so we're going to be doing a lot of learning on how all that stuff works because what I've found is live streaming a board game is a lot more intense than just doing a preview of a board game
Oh yeah.
because when you live stream, you got to get everything right. You can't mess up the rules because there's probably somebody out there that knows the rules better than you do, and there's just a lot of balls to juggle. That you're trying to respond to comments, play the game, be entertaining. There's just a lot to it. So that's coming for us in the future, and we're really, really excited about that. And then there's some other avenues that we want to explore with other stuff outside of just board games, maybe some tabletop RPGs, things like that. Go online, boardgamecloset.com, and then almost every one of the social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, it's all slash board game closet. So we got in early. I guess nobody else wanted the name, and so we're on their board game closet. And then if you're a publisher and you want to email us or a Kickstarter designer, it's just info@boardgamecloset.com.
I did mean to tell you in the beginning that I love the name. I was actually surprised that you got it first, right? Because it's such a popular. You think it would be a popular name, but isn't it great when you think of a perfect name and no one has it
You're
yet?
like gold, gold.
Jimmy's links to Board Game Closet and all of his content will be in the description of this video and when we post it online. Thanks so much, man, for being here today and giving your time and for talking about your path as a content creator. I know I'm encouraged. I hope other people watching will be encouraged. So thank you so much for being here
Yeah,
today.
thanks so much for inviting me. It's been great. You're super, super gracious and kind. And so thank you for all the kind words you said today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And if you're looking for more Winter Moon Games content, you can check out wintermoongames.com/content. We do previews, reviews for games. We also do interviews like this with industry folk. And we're on all social media, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So look for us out there. And this has been another episode of Friends of Gaming. My name is Chris, and we'll see you next time.